Hey, it's 6:40 p.m. It is Thursday evening. It is August 29th, and I decided to come back here and make another video. I would like to say that I made a good use of my time this afternoon, but, I really didn't. I was pretty wound up yesterday, and I was pretty wound up, like, all the way till, I would say, mid-afternoon today. Just, like, my head is spinning. I understand that, I found out, about the reincarnation cloning thing last fall. As a matter of fact, I was kind of going through this timeline because last year in August, either August or September, possibly October. But I know that in May of last year, I had just left VT Trucking and I was on unemployment during these months. And I know that I was, going to the court system, getting papers and all this other stuff. And I was planning on, having them served to certain people. And I do remember making a video about all of that. So anyway, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that, everyone knows that this channel has been up since 2015. And it's just been like, I've been in a constant state of transformation. The things that I've had come to understand throughout this time. It changes your view on things. It changes how you see things. It changes how you look at things. It changes your comfort level. Many years ago, I thought that the family that raised me, even though I never really saw them that much, and we had our disagreements, I still thought that that was my family, right? So, I may not have seen them as much as I should have or could have, but I still thought that was my family. And I never, all the way up till like around 2015 when I started finding out about being targeted and all that other stuff. But still, it's like this slow process of having certain things revealed to me. And each thing was very shocking. I had realized that I was being followed in my workplaces. And then I realized because of the mobbings. And then I started realizing, wait a second, this goes back to childhood. And then, just years. I mean, people who've watched these videos since 2015 have seen this whole thing, unfold. Now, I will say that I do suspect that while I was in the workplace, at least some of the workplaces that I had been at, that they must have put me on surveillance. And this is one of the reasons why so many people know me, talk about me, as if, I do believe somehow or another, like my perps had me, I don't know, like under surveillance or other people watching at different times. Okay, I don't know exactly when those times were. I do know that when I was over at this one house that I was living at with my ex-husband, I felt as though my place was under surveillance. And, I just remember feeling like all eyes were on me. I didn't quite understand everything. And, you come to find out that your family's involved, and you come to find out the kids are involved in it. The kids from your school are involved with it. Then you find out celebrities are involved with it. And then you find out, it gets even weirder. It's like, okay, now you find out you've been cloned. Now you find out you're not only cloned, but you were a man in your past life, and this goes all the way back to Egypt, and not only you were cloned, but your dad was cloned, and you're like this. It's just weird. But it's also eye-opening because, I've been putting things together based on, my interests, my hobbies. And, I can see where my father had his, I kind of call them transferable skills, transferable skills from one life to another. And, me and my dad have, abilities of where, we can do things that seem unlikely for people like our personality. Like when I had mentioned that my dad was really good at sewing, he taught me how to sew using the sewing machine, right? He also, used to write beautifully. My dad was, what do they call it, ambidextrous, where you can write with both hands. He had these multi-talents that, when it comes to standardized testing, when I was dealing with the PAS thing and people labeling me as creative or artistic or expressive or and these sort of things, and I'm not necessarily saying that those things are wrong, but it's a part of the white denial, or I would also like to use the word white fragility, that does occur when you're interacting with white people and they are not used to dealing with seeing how black people really are, other than basing it on some sort of stereotype or some sort of propaganda that they might have heard through their racist network. Anyway, you know, so I feel like, you know, I am really kind of shaken by everything. Now, I know that a lot of other people, you know, they're been watching this, like they've been watching from the outside in. You know, what I mean by that is that they've either seen me, um, you know, people talking about me, my videos are being uploaded, the group of people that were associated with the bullying must have had some sort of contact with the public or whatever. So people know about me. So people have been watching from the outside in, understanding, watching my story unfold. Okay. And, you know, a lot of these people, like I said, they knew that I was a clone before I knew I was a clone. So, I mean, all of this to me is just very overwhelming. And when I think about, you know, the kind of abuse that it amounts to and what it says about the character of certain people that would be willing to abuse a person in that sort of vulnerable position. But and I also look at the form of mind control that's used to keep all of that together. You know, there were times where, you know, in the past, I remember when I was younger, I used to work fast food, okay, different kinds of jobs, fast food, telemarketing, whatever, you know, I was young, I was just bouncing around, I just wanted to make a couple bucks so I can, you know, maybe get some new albums and then whatever, you know, that's just, I was young, I didn't have any responsibility, okay, not really, you know, not having to pay for rent or anything, so I remember, like, I was working, cleaning the tables, and, like, my manager came in, he started talking to me, and I didn't really notice the tone in his voice or anything, right? But there was a guy who was standing next to the table, and he was trying to stand up for me. So there were people who did stand up for me. There were people who must have been kind of aware of the mind control, and they might have been just very silent people who just didn't want to get too deep involved in it, but they would say it and speak up a little bit if it got out of hand. Now, I didn't notice the way that this man was speaking to me, but the other guy did, and he was like, "Don't you dare speak to her like that." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what is he talking about?" Now I'm starting to look back at certain things, certain situations that happened in my life, and I'm understanding what this was. Okay? And I do want to say this to the guy who stood up for me many years ago. I do appreciate it. There has been other people who have stood up for me, and I understand that must not have been a popular thing to do. Okay, but I understand you could not get as involved as you wanted to because I know that there was a system in place that should have not have been in place. It's called mind control, it is called propaganda, and it's called something that should have never happened to divide people, to exclude another human being. And that's exactly what happened because of a issue stating about religion. But this was actually something that was created through the work of white supremacy. This is where it originally started. Today I was thinking about you know, my little Hitler fascination since I was a kid, right? And that's another issue that, you know, opens my eyes because, you know, I have talked and studied books about reincarnation. I've, you know, mulled over it. And, you know, I would agree that, you know, these hobbies, these habits, or these, yeah, hobbies, habits, little quirks that we have, these interests, these odd things that a lot of kids are drawn to for weird reasons, this is an indication of your past life, you know. And, you know, I know my interest in Hitler, you know, it seems like see, the funny thing is when I say, like, the Hitler interest goes beyond the womb, I am not freaking kidding you. It does, because it goes back into the C.B. Berganza days. You know what I mean? In some way, because by me being targeted in a covert manner and stuff like that's the same sort of tactics they were using over on the Jews. And also the things, not everything that was being reported, I mean, that was going on over there, okay, in Germany, or the hatred or the stuff that was going on over there was being reported to the United States, but a lot of it was. And so I must have kept up on all the stories and all the news, and it must have just been like, putting two and two together. And I do believe that when I was in the insane asylum, okay, before I, you know, couldn't take it anymore and decided to nix myself, right? And I'm saying this with humor, okay, because I'm not trying to take the suicide thing out, but I was in the insane asylum, okay, and not because I was insane. I was in the insane asylum because it was important for this particular agenda or this propaganda to work well. Okay, so they did need some sane person who made sense and somebody who could actually explain away what was going on, talking about stuff. Okay, so they're going to put people like that in insane asylum. And this is what they did when cloning was, becoming, picking up full speed. Okay, I had mentioned this before, like, people who were freaked out about it, weren't kind of on board with it or whatever, you're going to go into the insane asylum. I was in the insane asylum, SCB Braganza. But what I do believe, and I have this strong feeling, that I haven't done like any intuitive readings on it, but I feel that when I was dying, or when I was getting close to dying, my burning thing is to have definite answers. Like, I felt as though I was on something when it came to the cloning process, and what that meant, and why I felt it was wrong. I also feel as if this is one of the reasons why, when I was a kid, I hit the ground running with my interest and intrigue of things like religion, of things like, because, like I'm telling you, that there is something that we need to look at when it comes to reincarnation. Now, when I was younger, and I understand, when it came to Christianity back in the day, and I'm going to say this about Christianity as well as, and I love my country, America, I do. Okay, but anything that you said that sounded off color, even if you didn't mean anything by it, you were just simply making a statement. Okay, it was like people were quick to ostracize you, people were quick to call you a commie, people were quick to do whatever, even if they're not even hearing you out. Okay, they're just like, you just say anything bad about whatever. Okay, now when I'm talking about this issue of Christianity, okay, when I was younger, if you mentioned something, like, for example, I remember talking about the topic of reincarnation before, to my mother, and I also do remember having a conversation about reincarnation with a girl in, I think it was either social studies or history, class, okay, and the thing is with that is that I remember people would shut you down and make you, make you feel guilty, or like you were sacrilegious, or you weren't whatever. But when you think about this issue, and because they were so mind controlled, they never thought for 1 minute that, wait a second, okay, I was my mom's daughter, adopted daughter. Where did I come from? Okay, she's not thinking about the whole cloning process and the topic of reincarnation, or the topic of cloning in general. Like, that whole thing just like went in one ear and out the other, like over her head. And if you would have asked her, hey, what do you think about cloning? She was like, oh, there's no cloning. Cloning hasn't happened yet. This kind of mind control, thick mind control. And the reason why is because when people are trying to control you, what they try to do is prevent you from asking questions. They prevent you from asking questions. So this is one of the reasons why when you would ask questions when I was a kid, they'd shut you down. But the fact of the matter is, we had a bunch of clones who may be spawns, but there must be a lot of reincarnated people as well. Okay, and this is a spiritual practice or spiritual idea that should be understood by Christianity, since they were a part of the cloning process, right? But anyway, but this is a mind control. Okay, this is like the level of mind control. This is a denial of it all, which it's confusing to a lot of people. But for myself, I'm somebody who's able to recognize people who are under mind control, because that topic was something that has interested me since I was a kid. Didn't I tell you that? Right? So when my sister Tanya would have her paranormal episodes, not paranormal episodes, paranoia episodes. Tanya had a lot of issues relating to paranoia, and I do believe that it stemmed from this whole targeting thing that related to religion. Okay, because she would have like guilt complexes and just trip out on stuff that, to me, I'm like, okay, it's over, get over it. You know what I mean? But I understand, like, when people are following or badgering you and questioning you and stuff like that, it's excessive. Okay, and they will, and I'm going to tell you right now, just like you can see in my case, with something very small, they can drag that out for the longest period of time, like as if like, for example, my wig thing, okay, you would have thought that the way they were acting about it, you would have thought that I killed somebody, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you that my sister Tanya had serious mental problems, extreme mental problems, okay? And do I believe that it had something to do with that, Sandy? And that what I'm telling you is that, I am not bashing church in itself, okay? I don't see anything wrong with people gathering together to talk about something or having a spiritual experience. There's people who believe in, they like, Pentecostal people, they believe in speaking in tongues or laying on the hands, healing. There's some other spiritual groups that get together and do spiritual work, or even just having meetings, potlucks, those sort of things, those community things. Okay, I've never bashed that. Okay, but what I do is when a person has a certain kind of agenda, like in this case, I understand that white supremacy played a huge role in my targeting. Okay, and that, as a matter of fact, I would say white supremacy was like the main foundation. That was the biggest issue. Okay, and in order to get the participation of a lot of people, they knew that if they write an issue of religion, that they could get people like black people to hate me, they could get like Mexican people to hate me and everything else, right? And this is one of the reasons why I've had experiences on YouTube, like the clogging of my channel, having only 632 subscribers, and also the fact that when I had my first YouTube channel back in 2008, where when I first opened it, it was thriving. I mean, I was trying to get like abundance of subscribers, and I was doing very well. And then all of a sudden, almost as if overnight, they started like tapering off. You know what I mean? People stopped communicating with me because this toxicity was being spread. And I do believe that they were forming like allegiances or alliances against me, saying, hey, stop talking to her. You know what I mean? Which right there is putting the wheels in motion for a form of genocide. I don't know who that could possibly have been, but I will tell you, I am, okay, now, coming from the Jehovah's Witness standpoint, now, Jehovah's Witnesses are a group of people who do believe, at least they used to, now I don't know if they still do or not, okay, but they believe in things called disfellowshipping, okay? Now, I had mentioned before that Bruce was never an official Jehovah's Witness. So because he never made a formal dedication to his religion, okay, he was not disfellowshipped. He cannot be disfellowshipped, okay? They do have things called disassociation, or what's the other thing? Like, I forgot what they call it, but they do have different forms of discipline, okay? But, it's a different thing when a person gets baptized, okay, because it's basically saying, hey, I'm making a conscious decision to serve God, right? And when you make something where you step out of line in a deliberate manner, then, I guess the elders will, deem that worthy enough of getting what they call disfellowshipped, okay? Now, when it comes to me, I have never belonged to a formalized church, okay? I remember visiting churches in the past, okay? And I have never been on their roster. I have never been baptized. I am certainly not somebody who has grieved the Holy Spirit or sinned against the Holy Spirit. Now, that's a sin that in some churches is going to get you disfellowshipped, right? Because it's like something that you're like denying, something that is very powerful, right? It kind of borderlines on what Judas Iscariot did. It's just like one of those, kind of like how my family and my friends, my co-called friends were Nazis and mistreated me and had plenty of time to think about the betrayal, but did it anyway. Same situation kind of with Judas, okay? Judas had all those days to sit there and like retract his whatever he planned that he had against Jesus, but he went along with it. Okay, that's so the parable goes, or the story goes, right? So, when I think about betrayal and the pain that you experience dealing with all of the problems with let's talk about religion and gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry. I was so tired. But let me just kind of pick up where I was trying to leave off here. I was talking about Judas Iscariot, and I was talking about betrayal and religion. Okay, so we were talking about religion and talking about how the brainwashing and the mind control of people disfellowshipping, acting as if I'm not somebody who deserves to be spoken to. And I know that the propaganda that was used was to say that I was somebody who was not, because I didn't go to the church or whatever, that I was somebody that needed to be ignored. Okay, whoever thought that was a good idea is basically condoning genocide, is what they were doing. Okay, because when you publicly shun a person and make it something that you're orchestrating that, saying, hey, do not speak to this person, blacklist this person, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's a very serious issue, and I take it very seriously. Now, I was thinking, like, today, some people just kind of popped into my head, like, popped into my head, like, randomly. People that I used to work with, okay? And, I'm done naming names, okay? But I will tell you, there are certain people who got their karma, and I am not feeling bad about it. Okay, because there's going to be times, right, when I start getting very irate. Okay, like especially when I start thinking about how undeniably disgusting this whole situation is, and the ugly behavior of people, and the undeniable abuse that I received. Okay, the undeserved abuse that I received, and the willingness of certain people to sweep it under the carpet, minimize it. Okay, and and bring other people involved in it. Okay, it to me is so disgusting. Okay, and I honestly tell you, my feeling about people. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it. Okay, I can go on and on and on about it. And where does this come from? And I have never been somebody who I believe deserved that sort of harsh treatment. So it comes from, the propaganda, and it also comes from a lot of people who feel as though they have some sort of harbor or resentment towards me. Okay, and they came to me and came at me in this hate campaign in every single angle you can imagine. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why when you hear some of these tarot readers, they talk about me, and they'll talk about it's a wonder why you're alive. You know what I mean? Or they say things like you don't look like what you've been through. Okay, and I will tell you, why I don't look like what I've been through? Because all this time when I had received every single last injustice, I knew I was in the right. Okay, and I also knew one thing for sure, that I hated what these people were doing to me, and I knew that I would never stoop as low to emulate them on any level. And I was fucking hardcore about it. Okay, because this is what I hate more than anything in this world. Okay, I hate that sort of toxicity. I hate that kind of pain that people like to spread on other people, and I hate that so much that I will not succumb to it. Okay, it's all in the way that you see things. Okay, and I knew, based on the law, based on their religion that they were throwing at me, and based on what I knew in my heart. Okay, on top of that, like I said, I know there's nothing that I would want to do. I wouldn't want to be like that. No, I don't want your religion. I don't want your, Bruce Collins or whoever it is and all these other people that stab me in the back. No, I don't. I do recall making an effort many years ago stepping away from all of that. Okay. Which, people didn't understand that completely maybe at the time. And the funny thing is, I didn't understand it completely either. I did understand the very basic thing. I am miserable when I'm in the presence of these people. Okay, I feel like this is who I am, and I feel held back. I feel unhappy. I feel stressed out, and I feel like it's time to go. Aside from that, I had broken up with Bruce before that. Okay, and then also, I had slowly but surely started to detach myself from the girl Amanda, the girl who was at the Kingdom Hall. And at that time, like I said, I did love her from a distance. But now I'm starting to realize, these people were informants. These people had agendas. These people showed their wicked side many times. At the time, I didn't want to see it. But now I do now. And once you start opening your eyes, whether you call it woke or you call it awake or you're just conscious or whatever, once you start realizing, okay, that people enjoyed their pathological, sick, envious ways at your expense, okay, it changes the game. Okay, so now I am, again, going to say that I am in a period of transition. The transition is, many years ago, I would look back and think about when I was 13 and 14 years old, who was my best friend at that time? And now the story has changed. She is not my best friend. Okay, she was an informant. Okay, that's how it is. Now, I used to always be like really happy thinking about like my childhood memories, especially in the backyard. And don't get me wrong, the sunlight was beautiful in the backyard. The dahlias were beautiful in the backyard. Okay, the music was beautiful in the backyard. Okay, but the neighborhood that I was thriving in, oh, there's an explanation now as to why these people acted the way that they did. There's an explanation now why people had that smirk on their face when they were coming around asking what was going on with my dad, knowing good and well what was going on.
You know what I mean? So now it's like, oh, okay, now I realize I was smack dab in the middle of their hate. You know what I mean? So it's you gotta understand from my point of view, maybe you can't understand. Because a lot of people, you know, I just made an announcement today that, and I've been saying this over and over and over again. Okay, stop trying to, you know, reunite me or thinking that it's okay to, you know, orchestrate kingdom spouses and people that I used to know a long time ago. I am dealing with something that is highly disturbing. I have gone through the shock process. I have dealt with trauma. Okay, the trauma of, number one, not being really related to that family. And then knowing that, here they come around wanting to manipulate certain things, knowing that we're not even family. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to fuck my shit up. And this is something I cannot deny. Okay, trying to force me into a relationship with Bruce, realizing the many years that went by. My son's like, I'm going to be 31 next month, or in 2 months or so. I'm thinking, oh my God, look how many years have gone by. Look how many years this happened. This is a hate crime on steroids. Okay? That's what it is. And I don't see it any other way. Okay? And so I sit here and I'm telling people, okay, there are certain things I cannot be triggered with anymore. Okay? I have to be my own therapy and I have to figure out what is therapeutic for me. Okay? Because like I told you, I dare not step into one of these medical facilities. Okay, and it's not just the fact that I suspect these people of killing people for fun. I also think that they're incompetent on the service that they would provide if they actually could provide a decent service. Okay, so I have to figure things out myself. Just like, you know, I have been listening to Nexus 604, that channel, and other channels that are similar, because those beats and the visuals help bring my brain back up. Because this forceful isolation that they place me in, which I've mentioned several times, what it does, and see, when I say something and they don't act on it and change that situation right there, I always feel like, okay, I'm tired of dealing with it. I feel like, okay, dealing with demonic shit. Why do I say that? Because the issue is to try to see what gets underneath my skin. The issue is to try to see the experiment as to what, you know, how kind of tolerance do I have. I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, I don't want to put up with any more of those sick, inhumane, experimental things. Okay? So, like I said, if somebody says something stupid in any way, out of shape, out of form, out of line, expect to get a tongue lashing. You'll never forget. Okay? I'm not interested in people trying me. Okay, so when I see people who think it's okay to play with my numbers, and obviously, you know, that tells me that you cannot sit here and truly be repentant for the vile shit that you caused, because you still have some sort of agenda acting against me. So, fuck you, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to something else. Okay, to focus on something else. But I will tell you, by the hoarding of the YouTube channel, okay, by uploading my videos and letting other people watch it, and not allowing me to have friends of my own, and they want to make sure that they destroy your reputation. They got to do that. We got to have that in place, right? And a lot of that it was happening right when my father was alive. You know, the whole campaign about hating my father. That was a Nazi campaign because they just didn't like him. And then this is the reason why I was targeted, is because they didn't like my father. Okay? It's not because, and none of that shit's true. Oh, none of this shit, I am not demonic. I am not somebody who's a hellraiser. I did not fight against the church. But when I realized what the church was doing to me, hell yeah, I'm going to stand up to it. I'm not going to think that that's okay, that you're going to sit here and try to deprive me when I'm not on any of your registers, rolls, your, your logs. I'm not a member of your church. And aside from that, since it's coming from a white supremacist angle, I certainly wouldn't be a member of your church. Okay, so why you would expect me to bow down to your religion, knowing good and well I'm supposed to be some sort of subservient piece of nothing? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, I have a brain and I use it. So now my life is different now. And it not only does it open my eyes to those issues, it also opens my eyes to the dynamic of, you know, the interracial relationships that were in my family dynamic. Okay? Like I know, you know, I was married to someone white when I was younger. I know both my sisters married someone white and my brother married someone white. Okay? Now, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, okay, that I'm starting to see things a little differently. Okay, and I will never act out any revenge or anything or against the people who
deserve it. Okay? I'm just going to say it. They deserve it. They deserve it. Okay? There's no way in the world you can tell me that I have any reason to sit here and take any consideration to anybody's feelings who got involved in this whatsoever. But I'm sitting here looking at, the relationship of these interracial couples, and I'm sitting here thinking, how in the world could you put up with that? How could you put up with that? And then on top of it, the mind control within these sort of family dynamics. Okay, you got your, like my nephew, that it's crazy. Okay, because this is whatever this toxic group was, whatever this group was, whatever the main head honcho who was orchestrating this, getting excited and thinking this was okay, it was very twisted. Okay, and which is one of the reasons why I feel like the demiurge was all over it. Okay. I understand, when it comes to white supremacy, like, they still have a certain advantage. Like, if a white man, a man is white and his wife is black, he's got an advantage over her. To the point of where he could easily abuse her. Easily abuse his wife. Okay, and he's got his good old boy friends who can help him do it. I'm just saying. Okay, so I'm gonna, when it comes to those sort of things, that's why I'm telling you, I'm very careful. Okay, and now I'm looking back on this and I'm thinking, when I was younger, I never realized, there was so much hatred that white people had for black people. You know what I mean? I never realized it. But deep down inside, what I do think it is like a lot of white people, on an individual basis, they want to discover their greatness. They want to achieve something. And they obviously want to go really cutthroat to do it. You know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you right now, I've never asked to have a place or spot in your worldly platform. I simply came to this town trying to pay my bills. Okay? Me, the cheap rent payer. I sat here and looked for cheap rent. That's what I do. I look for cheap rent. I am a cheap rent woman. Okay? And this is why I came here. I had no interest in getting involved in politics. I had no interest in overthrowing anybody's religion. But now I've been fucked with. Now I'm going to sit here and start talking about some stuff. You know what I mean? I try to have a very, peaceful demeanor, and but anyway, going back to, the whole issue of, like, how this issue of white supremacy is so toxic, so vile, that it will invade a family unit. Okay? And I'm sorry, but see, when it comes to me, the people that I love in my life, they are sacred. They are sacred. Okay, so you can take your little fucking white supremacist shit somewhere else. It is the way that it is. Okay? Now, to be fair, when I think of, this issue of me having to battle my way through life in general because of the unjust stuff that I had to deal with very bloodthirsty people, I'm just saying is like, wow, it's shocking and it's eye-opening. It is very eye-opening to me. But I'm that part of it is like I'm also a big girl, and I do understand that, like, I could have been like emotionally distraught when I found out certain people who were targeting me or oh, kitty, sorry, got distracted by the kitty, who were targeting me were, showing or exhibiting racist behavior or attacking me for that reason. Mainly because I keep forgetting. I have to sit here and literally rewind. I kept thinking, were they attacking me because of my dad, or they were attacking me because of the whole history of the CB Braganza? And I think it was a combination of both. You know what I mean? It was just, black people practicing or having an open mind doing their own religion thing. Okay, and white people get really upset when you're just sitting there minding your own biddy, and so they attacked my father. You know what I mean? And they were smug about it too. Like I said, we had a few neighbors that would come by, asking, hey, how's your dad? We haven't seen your dad. And now I'm thinking about it, it's like, good and well, these people were just like very sick and twisted. You know what I mean? And it's sad, you know what I mean? But I see how innocent I was when I was a kid, and I see how
I really did have a genuine heart when I was younger. And I know it's funny because a lot of people would make that comment. A lot of people would make that comment about me. You know what I mean? This lady was talking, you know, and I don't think she meant to tell me this or slip up, but a lot of people slipped up and tell me, okay? And it's funny because I call myself having the golden lasso effect on people. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, Wonder Woman, when she would have her golden lasso, when she would, like, you know, loop somebody in, and all of a sudden they would just, like, start telling the truth. There's something about me at certain times where, like, people will slip up and say stuff, right? Well, they didn't mean to tell me this, right? So she was saying, oh, I was just talking to so-and-so the other day, and I was just telling you, like, I really think that Maria is a good person. Deep down, I really think she's a good person, right? So what I gathered from this conversation, all these things are starting to come out. I really think that this woman knew that I was being persecuted, but from her observation and everything that she was seeing, she knew that that wasn't true. Okay, but at the same time, she might have been nice to me when she was in front of me, but when she got out with her other friends, she had to sit here and, you know, whatever. But she did stand up and at least say, hey, you know, I noticed that this person was, you know, she seems like a nice person. You know. So I have dealt with campaign smears. I have dealt with the ostracism. And the reason why is because the person who did this wanted me to commit suicide. Period. Okay, knowing my history as C.B. Berganza dying in the mental institution, right? They probably thought, oh, well, we could probably do the same thing and make her fucking kill herself this time. Okay, I'm not playing any king with spouse games. I'm not playing any let me one up you on the religion thing. Okay, and that was never meant to be in the thing in the first place. You know, I'm very sad that all these years that I felt as though, you know, listening to the instructions of what my parents told me, like by the time you're 18, you can do what you want, knowing that I was in the guidelines of the law, knowing that I wasn't raised in any religion, not specifically. I mean, we did visit, like I said, Kingdom Hall and church, and then all of a sudden I'm being persecuted and everyone in my family's turning against me because all of a sudden they hate me for not going to church. Mind you, Tanya, the only person who's going to church is Tanya. Lisa and Rashawn, I never saw physically go to church. Or even mention being interested in God at all. But all of a sudden, I'm the enemy, people hate my guts and everything, and it was just, to me, very disgusting. And you wonder, how in the world can somebody find it in their heart to do something like that? How could you do something like that? How could you think for 1 second that I was that evil? I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, I did stupid things, like anyone else does, okay? But something like that, you know what I mean? If I was something evil, don't you think somebody should have the common decency to give me the heads up? Okay, but the reason why this whole thing was hush hush, don't say anything about it, it was all silent and done silently for one specific reason. And that was silence was meant to do a slow kill. And that's why. Okay, it's meant for slow kill. Putting a person in isolation for a long period of time. Okay, and then also silencing them, making it so that other people can, cutting them off from access from other people. You notice very little people make comments on my channel, okay? But other people are talking about my subjects on YouTube, and they're like fully entrenched in my conversations, or extensions of my conversations, because I'm always being isolated and kept away from people. Now, how they manage all of this throughout the channel, I have no idea. Okay, but they also do a lot of forms of isolation and campaign smearing, so that, you know, they convincing people and trying to tell people that I'm a bad person so that I don't get the support that I deserve. Okay, and this is what it is, and it becomes a matter of taking sides or forcing people to take sides. Just I personally believe that my family was forced to take sides. But there's a part of them that kind of enjoyed it anyway. Like Lisa, she enjoyed the shit. She enjoyed inflicting pain on me. She really did. Okay? So when it comes to mob behavior, this is something I stick away from. And because I'm somebody who studied things like mind control since I was a kid and stuff, I knew exactly what was going on. You know? I knew exactly what was going on. Okay? A little bit of CB was in me, and this is the reason why I took an interest in these topics of mind control. This is one of the reasons why I found it fascinating to read about Joseph Mengele, who just so happened to be the person, you know, who was behind this experiment. It's crazy, you know what I mean? So anyway, what else did I want to talk about? Let me pull my cards here because I did write some stuff. Oh, okay. Now I know, like, I was getting some intuitive messages, and it was talking about, the issue of my censoring. I'm going to call it censoring on YouTube. Okay. Obviously, I'm dealing with people who are within this religious structure, and I do get the message or the name like Jesus being thrown around a lot, which is funny because I do believe that my ex boyfriend, son's father, whatever, had something to do with my YouTube channel. Now, he was a Jehovah's Witness. He was not an actual Jehovah's Witness, but he studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, and Jesus is not their main focal point, okay? But this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about how the hypocrisy of how the Jehovah's Witnesses bound together with other Christians to try to squash me out, okay? Because of somebody's jealousy. Like, all bets are off, forget our doctrine, forget our rules, we're all on let's hate Maria type thing. And so they all bound together and started doing this religious thing. But they were basically trying to prevent me from talking about other gods and deities and stuff like that. Apparently they want to put the focus on, and I've never told people not to worship Jesus. You know what I mean? But what I do have a problem with is that people who try to block other people from talking, if your way of worship is the best, then your life will reflect that, and people will make that decision on their own. Okay? That's how I look at it. But I'm fine. I'm not going to talk about any other gods, deities, or anything like that. So, fine. I'll keep the pace on that. Also, I was thinking, let me look at this particular thing, okay? I was gonna forget about this, but then I kept thinking, okay, I'm gonna share it anyway. Hang on. This relates to an intuitive message that I was getting about, I have always taken interest in odd viewpoints. Okay, I think it's important, to listen or read other people's points of view when it comes to things like history, right? Many years ago, I know that my parents had books about Black history. And I would look at them when I went to go to the library or whatever, right? And I know that, I had mentioned a couple of days ago about me just kind of wondering, were these things just food for thought, or is there something more to it, right? Well, I had mentioned in one of my videos about the whole King Tut thing back in the day, right? Back in the 70s when he was like on stage. I think it was Saturday Night Live, I think it was, right? And see, it's funny because I never paid attention to those lyrics, but I do believe that when we are young, or just when you're listening to music in general, okay, there's times when we start absorbing things and we don't even really pay attention that we're absorbing it, okay? Because like I said, I remember seeing the skit, but I don't remember humming it, singing it after that, or like multiple times or anything like that. Okay, I don't remember doing that. Okay, but there was a certain part of the song, I would say like last week, that kind of kept floating up into my mind. Like, I remember thinking about mentioning the issue about the indigenous Africans, and then I also remember talking about how there's like carvings of ancient Egyptian stones and stuff like that in Sedona, Arizona. Right? And so I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight the very two lines here. And it might not be anything, okay? I don't know if Steve Martin wrote this song himself, okay? Or here's some scenarios, okay? I will tell you when you are a targeted individual, which I know that James Gordon was a targeted individual, okay? And because like everyone knew that I was Prince Alamehu, they probably knew that he was King Tut. And I am not saying that this particular skit that Steve Martin performed was deliberate or even meant for my father to see, but there's a possibility. Okay? And I do understand like the little mischievous stuff that people do when they're spying on you. They like to give you little hints and clues. Right? Okay, so I'm looking at the last two lines of this particular verse. It's like, born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia, and then he's got the little chorus part, the King Tut, right? And I kept thinking, okay, born in Arizona. And I kept thinking, okay, Sedona, right? Sedona, and the Egypt ferry, okay? Possibly, did he know about this, or did somebody else write that song for him? And was perhaps my father actually in And I don't know, in Arizona / Egypt or whatever, you know what I mean? And the reason why I'm wondering of these things is because, and I keep an open mind, okay? I keep an open mind, especially when it comes to things that relate to uh, people who fight for things like power, people who fight for things like respectability, or people who have that desire to do what they call destiny swaps, or at least a small amount of it. Okay, now let's just say, for example, because we know that we've seen pictures of Egyptians that are painted white and blah 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 blah, right? And who's to say that I've often thought of the possibility of perhaps black people being here in the United States before they said that we were brought over here on slave ships. That's not to say that there weren't any black people who were brought over here on slave ships. I'm still saying that there's a possibility that I've often thought and considered that based on the things that I've read, okay, that there's a possibility that black people could have been here already. Okay, so I know Arizona, when he's making the reference to that song, I'm assuming he means Sedona, right? I do know when they talk about Babylonia, like, for example, which relates to Babylon, I believe, and this is where a lot of people believe that the languages became, I guess from a biblical standpoint, some people believe that the languages were created in Babylon, like, where, what they say, to Babel, like to say, that's where the word actually derived from, Babel, like to Babel, like from Babylon. That's where a lot of words come from either where the country that it came out of, or an event that happened, that it did occur, like the Tower of Babylon or whatever. Anyway, I was just speculating on that particular verse, and I know I don't get any comments, but hopefully eventually I will one day. And I'd like to know what you think about that. I'm going to move on to the next slide. So what the campaign smear to prevent people from viewing my channel was what I would consider, rather petty, and, well, it was evil, basically. But a lot of it had to do with, of course, the religious campaign smear, right? And there was also talk about me, because I live here in California where marijuana is legal, me smoking marijuana, okay? I will tell you, when people hate your guts, they are going to sit here and look for any reason that they possibly can so that you can, like, miss out on any part of life, okay? And they will smile in your face while they do it, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm tired of looking at these fucking goddamn laughing hyenas. And I'm like I said, I am so done. Don't even fucking try it with me. Because if somebody tries it with me the next time, you won't be trying it again. All right? So anyway, I was thinking about the campaign smear. All right, the campaign smear was number one, based on religion, and I will tell you there was a lot of people who were in the pagan community that I had spoke with, used to call, talk on the phone, all this other stuff, right? And then we stopped talking. Okay, so either they got forced into a religion that they really didn't want to be a part of, or I don't know what happened. Okay, I do understand that Christianity does use some very forceful tactics. Also, the next thing, they talked about the marijuana thing. Marijuana is legal here in the state of California. They use the issue of me not having a 4-year degree, meaning that they were telling people that I was a loser. Okay, they're the ones who bullied me out of school, and because I can't take their bullying, they have to come back and hurt me again. Okay. So I'm a bad person, or not worthy of anyone talking to me, so therefore I have to be out there. See, I'm going to tell you right now, wake up, people, it was a death plot. Okay? It was a death plot for me not to have any help, because the goal was to sit here to try to convert me, constantly put pressure on me to convert me, and they weren't going to stop the pressure until they did convert me. So that's what that was going to end up like. Okay, this whole program this whole little plot was meant to kill me, and I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, so this was obviously something that was associated with the Nazis, and I had mentioned that before, and I'm not surprised. So I know a lot of people got their just desserts, and that's the way it is. Okay, I'm sorry that this ever happened. Okay, but like I said, you have to understand that every day I'm looking at things like I'm dealing with discovery, or I'm on a new journey. Everything in my life is completely different. I have to look at it that way. Like now, I'm basically an orphan. That's the very bottom line. I'm an orphan. If something happened, I wouldn't have anywhere to go. That's it. I don't have a support system, and as a matter of fact, these people were doing everything they could to kill me. Okay, and get away with it easily. Okay, you know what? They shut me off from the court system. You know, they tell people not to return my phone calls. You know, they do this sort of stuff. They ousted me. They blacklisted me, and then they try to shut me down on social media. When anytime that kind of stuff happens to you guys, please pay attention. Okay, and you better start doing what you can. Do some sort of advocating for yourself. And if obviously they're blocking social media, you go outside and you pass out your flyers. Okay. Is there something else I want to say before I wrap this up? Okay. This sort of like covert type stuff needs to stop. It needs to stop. That's it. I think we're good. I did mention that, you know, I did actually on my job search today. It became too overwhelming for me. You know, because like I said, you know, what bothers me most is when I start looking into the issue of my father being gone, the fact that somebody would try to put me in a covert nature program, and the very fact that they would toy with you in the employment sector, and they're willing to do that. Okay, these people are fucking goddamn demonic. Yeah, I just had to put it off another day. I'm sorry, I couldn't deal with it. Okay, but you know, I do plan on picking up my AWI course. I think that's what it is. You know, if and when I find a job that will allow me to utilize my copy and content writing skills. Okay, but like I said, you know, I get jerked around a lot in this program, and I had started the program. I think it was in August when I signed up for the program. Okay, and for a few months I was working on it, and then it just kept getting more and more discouraging. You know, I'm like, I can't find a job. I ended up losing my unemployment. Like, you know, it ran out. I ended up losing my car. My credit got got put in the shithole. And then, you know, you continually deal with it. You continually deal with people not accommodating you, treating you like you're garbage, all because they're trying to put the pressure on you to convert to their religion. And if you don't, then that's exactly what they're planning to do, and they're planning on killing you. And so I'm always aware of their sadistic stuff. At that time, I decided to start the Swan Song Manifesto. Everybody knows I made 2 attempts to get that off the ground, okay? And, you know, this is one of the sad realities about the hell realm, is the fact that, you know, we have to live with a 9 to 5. It's sad that you can't really just go out and do something and create money and get out of the situation. This is the frustrating part, okay, that I felt caused a lot of dissatisfaction on the earth, because, you know, and this is one of the reasons why I try to tell people to pick up a hobby or do something that they love, because, you know, there's got to be something more than just 9 to 5, you know what I mean? And the sad part is that that sucks up a lot of our time. And I'm going to tell you, to a lot of people, it's just not worth it. And I know that the jobs that I was stuck in the past, you know, I felt very unhappy about. So, you know, I'm trying to make some changes for myself. I'm trying to, you know, number one, I'm trying to set boundaries. And I did make the statement on my video about, you know, people to stay out of my life. I don't need you coming around. Making and hoping that people will understand. You know, I don't need people thinking it's okay to work on their behalf to do these sort of thoughts. Okay? It is traumatizing for me to have to encounter somebody who did what they did. It is disturbing to me for somebody to do what they did, to have done what they did, and then think that they could come back in and be in my good graces. That's like somebody killing your cat or something, or trying to kill you. Okay, missing you with a gun, or they shot a bullet at you, and so they're coming again. Okay, I don't need that sort of behavior. You know what I mean? And this is toxicity that can occur when you're dealing with gang stalking, because people create their mutual friends and their cliques and stuff like that. I need to feel protected. Okay, which I've been saying this for over a year. Even before I knew how bad it really was, I knew that I wanted to be protected from my family, and I said that, and nobody was listening. Okay, and this is what happens to a lot of women, a lot of people who them by themselves or whatever. They have a very hard time trying to protect themselves against this sort of illegal operation. And this is one of the reasons why I thought it was important for employers to start talking about human trafficking, because this is hurting so many people. Okay, so, all right, so yeah, I'm going to be able to pick up my job search tomorrow. We'll see how all that goes. It is a mental issue. I do have to be in the mood for it because, like I said, I do not want to deal with that sort of stuff ever again. Ever again. So, like, I'm telling you, like, if I was in a job interview and I even see that somebody's being stupid, I will sit there and I'm going to shred their fucking ass apart. Verbally. And be successful doing it. Okay, and a lot of times I could have done that before in the past, and actually there's been times where I did. I did that to Steve Murray and one of his little clowns that were sitting here trying to talk to me when I went over there and tried to handle some business with him. Okay, and it's not, the thing is, it's beyond me having to excuse myself for that sort of behavior, because I'm going to tell you what. Here's how I'm going to put it in perspective for you. Okay, my father died as a result of this program. Okay, and I had these laughing hyenas coming over to my house, grinning in my face, asking me questions as to knowing good and well that they were a part of killing my father. Okay, same assholes who were sitting here destroying my career, such as Bruce Collins and his fucked up family, calling me into job interviews, trying to have me change myself so that I can be some sort of, focal point for some sort of bullying, right? About my hair, my clothes, and everything. Somebody who's going to do something like that fucked up. There's a lot of men who do that. Okay, there's all kinds of videos about men who are fucking very cruel to women, and that's just so far out and left field. Like, I don't even know why he was doing that shit. Seriously, I haven't talked to that dude in a long time, but you know what he was doing it for? He was doing it for clout and recognition. And yes, he's that low that he would do such a thing. Okay, and so I don't need to deal with it. Okay, so I don't need people thinking it's okay. Here comes her kingdom spouse. Well, after all, he did do that. See, the problem is that when people arrange women's employment, okay, and this is why I don't like people giving me anything. I'm going to tell you this right now, okay, and this goes for a lot of young women. They should understand this. When people want to give you something, sometimes people want to give you things from the goodness of your heart, okay? And in a proper network, in a proper professional network, you know what a guy would do? Let's just say, for example, you're a secretary or a receptionist, right? He knows somebody who might work at a bank who needs a receptionist, and he knows that you do a great job, right? And he recommends you because he knows your job history and in the kind of environment you want to be in. So he found you a match. It just all fell in place, well. So he refers you to that person. Okay, and you know what makes it? It makes it so that the guy who referred you looks good because now you're doing a good job that for him, you're making him look good because he's keeping his word by providing people within the network that are good and so on and so forth. And you're doing a good job making him look good, and you guys are both making each other shine. That's how a network works or should work. Okay. But sometimes it's like, it gets to the point where, in these certain networks where, you're out of work for long periods of time. There's a lot of abuse that goes on. They want to ruin your reputation. They want to make it so that you're uncomfortable in the workplace, that you don't fit in the workplace. They want to make you so different that you're ostracized in the workplace. You're ostracized in the workplace before you even started your job. You haven't even filled out your fucking W-2 form yet, and you're already the fucking outcast. Okay? Because it's already set up that way. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this way is because you're being targeted, perhaps for religious reasons, for reasons of being set up for a kingdom spouse that has no intentions of marrying you, or whatever the case is, somebody who's trying to change your life and basically making your life miserable. Okay, this is what a lot of men do, and they stalk women doing that sort of stuff. Okay, and not just talking about those kind of stalkers. I'm talking about parents can stalk kids doing stuff like that. You might have an old mother who. I remember there was this one case where this lady, I guess she was kind of kind of a tomboy, right? And her mom was causing all kinds of problems because she was calling in, asking, wanting her daughter to wear dresses because she hadn't seen her daughter in a dress in a long time. And the girl was really into pants, so she's kind of a tomboy, right? And when you have your mom and stuff like that calling, and people are kind of socially pressured, they hear that from the other end of the phone or whatever, people start chiming in. It's like, yeah, wear a dress, and they can start bullying you. Even something as small as that, okay, can start ending up bullying, and it can become a problem. And whatever the case is, I'm just saying is, I know I've gotten bullied on behalf of Bruce and his family, and I will tell you, I had made a point in my life, and a very important decision in my life, for them not to have any contact with me in the first place. Now, I know they had an issue with me looking nice on, YouTube, and they were trying to lock me out, prevent me from having any sort of friends, because they were acting as if it was a noble thing to not take care of yourself. Like somehow you're more closer to Jehovah if you put on 50 pounds and dress in shaggy clothes. Okay, this is their way of bullying me. Why? Because Terry Collins was envious of me. Okay, and then the fact that, you know, some men are just like that. Some men hate women. They might date them, they might marry them, they might get them pregnant, they might whatever, okay? But if they have the ability to do something fucked up to them, they're going to do it. And in this case, somebody handed dumbass Bruce the keys to my fucking career. And guess what this motherfucker did? Okay? So this is what I'm telling people, you know, don't do that shit again. I'm seriously, this whole thing about kingdom spouses is wrong. And I'm just letting you know because I experienced it. Okay. Now, I do know what else message I want to come up with before I end this video. Oh, yeah, I do want to say that, you know, the people that knew me in the past, they did know me as a very nervous person, a very jittery person, a person who was always scared, who would drop things, who would stutter, who would be very agitated and nervous all the time in the workplace. Okay, so therefore I was dumb because I wasn't able to understand their abuse. Because they would say some stuff that to me was just like so far out in left field, and I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm sitting here trying to process it, and I'm like, okay, I'm at work, what they're doing is illegal, they shouldn't have said that, and I'm stumped. I'm like, you know, dumbfounded that this shit's even happening. Okay, so I don't know how to respond. I do know that I'm scared enough because I don't want to lose my job. So I think I'll just go back to my office and try to deal and process this. Because I'm not maybe responding the way they want me to, therefore I'm dumb. And so you know what they're going to do? They're going to sit here and create more problems for me online. I will tell you, if these people were really good-hearted Christian people who really had Jesus in their heart, and they really cared about someone's well-being, okay, and they were really trying to bring all these Christian brothers and sisters together to, you know, to make this a positive type, you know, union or something, okay? Why is it that they can be so goddamn cruel to somebody who's supposed to be dumb? Or they're just fucking cruel, right? Yeah, they're just fucking cruel. All right? What kind of person would sit here and try to create competitions against somebody that they perceive to be stupid? A stupid person, like Bruce Collins. Okay, now, who I was back in Lancaster, I was a James Collins Gordon, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff that I had no idea why in the world this was happening. Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you saying these bizarre things? Now, you know, like I said, there's times where I'm kind of kicking back at home and I'm thinking, shit, okay, I remember this person said this, and now I can see the tie-in. Okay, but all I will tell you, what I experienced was outright cruelty, outright disrespect, and it was uncalled for. And I'm not just talking about Bruce and his retarded family. I'm talking about my blood relations, not only my blood relations, but my adoptive family, the people that I knew from school. And I'm not trying to point fingers, okay? But with the whole, given the whole understanding of what this was, you know, this was an experiment, okay, that was based on the Nazi experiment of, and who brought it into being was Joseph Mengele. And the people who worked under him were very inspired by that. This is one of the reasons why I had so many kids, you know, from my high school who fucking wanted me dead because I was black. And they hated the fact that I had any sort of interest that they didn't think that I deserved to have. Okay? And they were like hell-bent on fucking trying to teach me a lesson, rub my nose in it, and destroy my life. Because they were highly inspired by their Nazi teaching. And this is something I fully understand. So, if you can understand in the community what I'm trying to tell you, why I feel as though, you know, I need protection. Okay? Protection that I cannot afford in the legal system. Because I know the legal, unfortunately, in this situation, I know the legal system was manipulated. I know it was. And I'm not talking about here in Bakersfield. I know that there were places that I tried to get to legal assistance in other towns too. I was devastated when this whole issue happened at American Family Farms. I was devastated. I knew that legally I should have been able to be compensated. But see, this is what happens when you deal with community type stuff. And this is what happens when people break the law. This is what happens when corruption happens. When people start taking religious sides. Okay, and isn't it surprising that somebody who would practice employment law would do that? Yes, it is. It's called corruption. Okay, that's what it's called. Okay, and I bet you, like, $5, okay, $5, okay, and a gift certificate to the Dollar Tree, that that if I was somebody who deserved compensation, like, if I was somebody who was white and this happened to me over at Murray Family Farms over maybe another issue, I would have been able to call a lawyer and get assistance just right then and there. Okay, but people were already fueled by the whole issue of me being C.B. Braganza, the clone, and then also the fact that I was James Gordon's daughter, who was King Tut. And really, the only thing, nobody could really say why they hated James Gordon, but I will tell you why they hated James Gordon. It's the same reason why they hated me. Okay, the fact that me and my father are two Egyptian people who have extreme talents. We are multi-dimensional, talented people. And that was something that intimidated white people. Now, mind you, all my life, like I said, I told my dad, hey, white people, they're not all bad, they're not blah, blah, blah. I defended white people, I did everything I possibly could. White people did nothing but try to fucking kill me. Okay, and they did it to my father, and they got in my face. So, in this journey right now, I'm letting people know I'm not playing any games when it comes to job interviews. I want to go to work, okay, and I deserve to work. Hopefully I can find a job. Am I aware of the racism? Am I aware of the campaign that took place here in Bakersfield? Yes, I am. Do I suspect when people don't return my phone calls? I don't like to think that in every situation. Okay, like when you send an email and you're asking, you're looking for a job or whatever. I'm not saying that everybody's like that, but I do suspect it sometimes. Okay, and I'm right to suspect it. Okay, and when I feel that way, you know what, I will tell you, it sends shivers up my spine, because basically I know that I'm dealing with a death plot. Okay, the reason why I feel sometimes the reason why you're ignoring my email is because they were trying to fucking kill me. Because that's basically how am I supposed to feel. This is one of the reasons why I feel I'm very disturbed by this taking place. This is one of the reasons why I'm disturbed that people who practice employment law would do such a thing, would participate in this. Or criminal law. Okay, but I know that there were people who did. Okay, why? Because the clique. Why? Because the pressure. Why? Because there were people who had names, big names in here. Why? Because hey, it's fun to bully black people. Okay, so I'm just letting people know I am a very sharp person. I pay attention to things. I'm not somebody that people can deceive. Okay, I know a lot. I pay attention a lot. I read a lot. Okay, and I'm more analytical than people want to believe. Now, the thing is that throughout my life, I enjoy having a good time. Okay, and most people don't get to see that part of me nowadays, because I have been talking about serious topics like gang stalking, cause stalking, community harassment, losing your job through workplace mobbing. All those negative things that I spent years talking about and made up to 1,400 videos plus, right? But these are the things I talk about. And, there is a side of me that enjoys being very carefree and just laughing about silly stuff. Like, I make up jokes and stuff like that. I like music and stuff like that. But, I feel as though my life has become extremely serious because of this issue. Okay, and I will tell you, it has made me very sick to my stomach. So for the people in this community, I'm going to tell you, if you are watching this video, I don't have any confirmation of you reading this, but if you understand that you're assisting people who have abused me in the past, okay, you are going to be held responsible for that. If only it is your conscience knowing that you watched this video and you knew what I said and you did it anyway. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Take care.